Nestled in the mountains of Pakistan, the Kalash people form an ancient community that stands out for its unique customs and beliefs that predate many traditions in the region. While the surrounding landscape feels remote and isolated, they celebrate festivals filled with music and dance, honoring ancient deities and maintaining a deep connection with nature. These rituals, passed down through generations, seem to transport those who witness them to a distant era. Another intriguing aspect for visitors and researchers is the physical features of the Kalash people. Light-colored eyes, brown or blonde hair, and distinct facial traits that set them apart from their neighbors. The big question is how such a unique group has managed to preserve its identity for centuries in such remote mountains. Beyond their striking appearance, their social practices also draw attention, especially when it comes to marriage and gender equality. In this community, romantic relationships are free to flourish, and marriages based on personal choice are seen as natural. This combination of traits reinforces the feeling that, when observing the Kalash, we are witnessing a living fragment of a past that continues to stand the test of time. The women in this community have the freedom to choose their partners and even get a divorce if they want to. Boys and girls study side by side, with the same opportunities and responsibilities in society. Even under the pressure of tourism and globalization, they stay true to their values, keeping a culture alive that fascinates people around the world. But will this way of life last? Or are we witnessing the decline of a truly unique civilization? Stick around until the end to learn everything about the Kalash, a people who continue to intrigue anyone who dares to explore their world. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on new content. Deep in the heart of the Hindu Kush mountain range, among steep valleys and towering peaks, the Kalash live in one of the most isolated places on Earth. Their villages are spread across the Bumburet, Rumbur, and Birir valleys, surrounded by rushing rivers and winding trails, accessible only by narrow roads carved into the rock. This historical isolation has acted as a shield against outside influences, preserving traditions and ways of life that have changed very little over time. On the other hand, surviving in such a harsh environment demands constant strength and resilience. In the remote valleys of northern Pakistan, the Kalash people live in harmony with the rhythms of the seasons and the cycles of the land. Every planting and harvest season is a time that brings the community together, whether they're growing wheat and corn or tending to their animals. In winter, heavy snowfall can block roads, leaving villages cut off for days. Yet their resilience and strong sense of community help them face the isolation and cold with remarkable strength. In these moments, festive events and ancient rituals keep their traditions alive, reflecting a deep connection to nature and a strong appreciation for their cultural heritage. The uniqueness of the Kalash sparks curiosity among researchers and travelers alike. In the diverse landscape of South Asia, their light-colored eyes and distinct features stand out from neighboring groups, fueling speculation about their origins. The most popular theory suggests that they are descendants of soldiers from Alexander the Great's army, who supposedly stayed behind in the region after his military campaigns in the 4th century BCE. But how much truth is there to this idea? Is there solid evidence linking them to this historical past? Or is it just a fascinating myth that continues to captivate the world? The Kalash are often linked to the ancient Greeks because of their traditions and their physical resemblance to European populations. Not only do they practice a rare form of polytheism in the region, but they also hold festivals that resemble Hellenic rituals. Some believe this is a direct legacy of Alexander the Great, who is said to have passed through the area where they live today. Historical records mention the presence of his troops in this part of the world, fueling the idea of a possible Greek heritage. Modern science, however, seeks solid proof. Genetic research shows that the Kalash have a unique genetic makeup, but no direct connection to Greece. Instead, they appear to be descendants of ancient Indo-European groups that lived in the region long before Alexander's arrival. This distinct heritage makes them a true living treasure, as they have preserved genetic and cultural traits that haven't faded over time, keeping them different from other populations in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Some say the Kalash are descendants of Alexander the Great's soldiers, but their language tells a different story. Kalasha belongs to the Dardic languages, a branch of the Indo-Iranian family with deep roots in the region. This suggests that the Kalash were already living there long before the Macedonian armies arrived. Even so, it's possible that contact with the Greeks over the centuries left traces in their customs, creating similarities that continue to fuel the mystery of their origins. Their isolation in the mountains has also helped preserve unique traditions, shaping a community that has fascinated researchers and travelers for generations. With every new discovery, more questions arise. Are they truly direct descendants of warriors from distant lands, or are they the result of multiple cultural influences accumulated over time? The presence of this people challenges historical assumptions and shows how human diversity can thrive in the most remote corners of the world. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think is the true origin of the Kalash? Do they carry Macedonian blood, or are they the product of a long journey shaped by encounters and cultural blending? Drop your thoughts in the comments. High up in the mountains of northern Pakistan, there's a community that has held on to its beliefs for centuries. Known as the Kalash, they practice an animist religion centered around nature worship and ancient rituals. While most of the country follows Islam, the Kalash devote themselves to gods, spirits, and natural forces, believing that mountains, rivers, and animals have a spiritual presence that shapes every aspect of daily life. Among their deities, Balumain stands out as a protector linked to renewal. He plays a key role in sacred festivals, strengthening the bonds that reinforce the group's identity. Unlike monotheistic religions, Kalasha spirituality isn't based on scriptures or strict doctrines. Instead, it stays alive through oral traditions and celebrations passed down through generations. In this way, the Kalash continue to preserve their culture, even in a rapidly changing world, without losing the deep-rooted connection to their land and heritage. The Kalash, who live in remote mountainous regions, keep their religious traditions alive throughout the year. In the spring, during the Joshi festival, they celebrate the fertility of the land with dances and offerings. When winter arrives, Chalmos brings everyone together for rituals meant to purify the community and ensure protection for the months ahead. During these events, bonfires, music, and animal sacrifices strengthen their bond with the gods and the cycles of nature. Scattered across the mountains, sacred shrines and altars serve as sites for offerings of milk, honey, and animals, all given in hopes of good harvests and harmony with the spirits. Spiritual leaders who inherit their knowledge through generations guide each ceremony, while music and dance invite the gods and protective energies to take part in the rituals. This is how the Kalash people keep the legacy of their ancestors alive, honoring their deep connection to the land that sustains them. In the remote valleys of Pakistan, there lives a people whose ancestral traditions are shaped by taboos and rituals that influence every aspect of their lives. Among the Kalash, certain trees are believed to be the dwelling places of powerful spirits and can never be cut down. There are also designated spaces in the village reserved exclusively for religious ceremonies, where only those who are spiritually prepared may enter. To maintain balance, luck, and health, small offerings are frequently made, reinforcing their deep connection to the spiritual world. Another fascinating aspect of the Kalash is the striking appearance of their women, which sets them apart from most of the country's population. They often have fair skin, brown or blonde hair, and eyes that reflect the colors of the surrounding mountains, creating a mesmerizing effect. Their delicate features combined with an upright posture add to the impression that they are a truly unique people, wrapped in mystery. Many travelers who visit the region are captivated, sparking theories about possible distant origins or ancient ties to other civilizations. In the remote mountains of northern Pakistan, the Kalash people stand out with traditions that contrast sharply with the cultural influences of their neighbors. The women in particular catch attention for their unique way of dressing, which goes against the more conservative norms seen in other parts of the country. Instead of modest veils, they wear long tunics adorned with rich geometric and floral embroidery, along with colorful necklaces and elaborate headdresses decorated with beads and shells. Every detail of their attire reflects cultural pride and highlights the unique identity that defines them. But it's not just their appearance that sets Kalash women apart. Their approach to love and marriage is also different from the customs of nearby Muslim communities. Instead of arranged marriages, relationships are formed through affection and personal choice. A woman's voice carries weight in decisions, and consent is highly valued. If a relationship doesn't work out, a woman has the freedom to end it and move on without facing shame or stigma. This way of life reflects a society where traditions exist without restricting personal autonomy, making the Kalash people a striking example of cultural preservation, combined with the freedom to choose one's own path. The Kalash follow customs that are quite different from those of the surrounding region. One of the most striking examples is the practice of marriage by ransom. If a married woman falls in love with another man and wants to leave her current husband, her new partner can pay a dowry to formalize the union. While this might seem unusual to outsiders, in Kalash society, it's considered completely normal and reinforces the idea that marriage should be based on love and compatibility, rather than being forced by family or societal expectations. Kalash women also play a prominent role in social life. They take part in family decisions, express their opinions freely, and handle daily responsibilities like farming and raising children. This level of autonomy makes Kalash society one of the most balanced in South Asia, where in many places women still have limited freedom. At the same time, the Kalash have a unique tradition related to women's natural cycles. During menstruation or childbirth, women stay in the Bashali, a separate building outside the village, until they are considered pure again. While this practice might seem restrictive to outsiders, it is deeply tied to Kalash beliefs about the body and spirituality, shaping the way they perceive the connection between the physical and the sacred. In this space, women spend time together, take part in traditional practices, and receive guidance from those who have already been through the experience. For the Kalash, this period isn't seen as a punishment, but rather as a time for renewal, both physically and spiritually. Every action inside the Bashali carries a special meaning. There are rituals that connect women to sacred forces, while also strengthening their sense of community. Only after going through this process do they return to their daily lives, carrying the belief that they have experienced something deeply meaningful. Even though this tradition might seem unusual to Western eyes, it reflects the Kalash people's deep respect for the cycles of life and the mysteries of nature. For many, the Bashali represents the foundation of Kalash identity, ensuring that their customs and beliefs remain strong. At the same time, some question this practice, seeing it as restrictive or outdated. What do you think? Do you believe that separating women during certain phases of life has benefits, or is it a sign of disrespect? Share your thoughts in the comments. Even though they live within modern Pakistan, the Kalash have held on to their roots, sparking mixed reactions. Some see them as a cultural treasure, deserving of protection and respect. Others view their beliefs as a challenge to the dominant traditions of the country. This tension raises important questions about how to balance progress with the preservation of ancient cultures. Although they don't face direct persecution, the Kalash constantly feel the pressure of living within a majority culture that often expects them to adopt more common regional customs. In this environment, they fight to protect their identity, which is deeply rooted in rituals and beliefs passed down through generations. Their biggest challenge comes when younger members enter formal education and are exposed to values that differ greatly from what they've learned at home. As they come into contact with new ideas, and with the outside world becoming more present than ever, many begin to question or even abandon the traditions their ancestors have upheld for centuries. In response, local schools and cultural projects are working to find a balance, encouraging traditional learning while still embracing modern knowledge. Even so, cultural change is happening fast. The Kalash language is becoming more limited to the older generation, and their rituals are becoming less understood by younger people. Despite this, community leaders are searching for solutions, whether by organizing festivals that celebrate their traditions or integrating lessons about Kalash history into school curriculums. The hope is that by blending tradition with modern life, the essence of the Kalash people can continue to thrive. The Kalash are facing a delicate moment as tourism continues to grow in their region. People from all over the world are drawn to the mystique of this unique community, boosting the local economy while also bringing outside influences that could disrupt their traditions. Some rituals, once considered sacred and strictly preserved, are now being adapted to meet the expectations of visitors. As a result, part of their original meaning and value is at risk of being lost. While tourism provides income and recognition, it also intensifies exposure to outside customs. The situation becomes even more complicated when considering the gradual decline in the number of people who still follow traditional Kalash ways. Today, fewer than 4,000 individuals continue to live according to their ancestral customs, and efforts to preserve this heritage often clash with the pressures of an increasingly globalized world. The future of the Kalash remains uncertain, leaving us with an important question. How much longer will it be possible to preserve the essence of such a unique culture in the face of rapid change? The Kalash are a living legacy of traditions that have stood the test of time. They face constant challenges in preserving their roots, while the rest of the world watches closely. With protection and recognition, they could remain one of the last truly unique peoples of South Asia. But without it, they risk becoming just a distant memory of the rich diversity of humankind. Did you enjoy learning about the Kalash? Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any new content. Let us know in the comments what stood out the most to you about this fascinating culture. Now, click on the video on your screen to watch our full documentary about the Himba tribe, another incredible African community filled with unique traditions. See you there.